Welcome to Platform. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. The federal government's special public works program aimed at employing 774 youths across the 774 local government areas of Nigeria was openly declared to commence in Abuja on Tuesday, the 5th of January, 2021 by Mr. Festus Keyamo, SAN, Minister of State, Labor and Employment. Other ministers are also expected to launch the special public works projects in their respective states in collaboration with their state executive governors. Each of the 774 youths will earn 20,000 naira monthly for the 3 months duration of the special public works projects. This edition of Platform examines the scope, implementation and challenges of the project, designed to employ 1,000 from each of the 774 local government areas. The commencement of the project now appears to have put to rest the initial challenges that resulted in 3 consecutive postponements of its takeoff. Does that mean all the issues are now resolved? What is the source or mode of funding? To provide answers to these questions and more, our guest is Mr. Festus Adeniyi Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Minister of State, Labor and Employment. A lawyer and politician, he was appointed minister in July 2019 after successfully leading the second-term campaign of President Muhammadu Buhari as Director of Strategic Communications. Mr. Festus Adeniyi Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Minister of State, Labor and Employment. Welcome to Platform.
Thank you for inviting me.
Going to thank you so much for coming, and with me, as usual, is Ruth Aguele on as the panelist.
Thank you very much.
Once again, a Senior Advocate of Nigeria and Minister of State, Labor and Employment. Welcome to Platform.
Thank you.
Let's begin from we saw on Tuesday when you kicked off this special projects program of the federal government. Let's begin from the scope, the nature, and what kind of employment you will be creating with these projects. Let's begin from there.
Thank you very much. The program is called the Extended Special Public Works Program. Why is it so? It's a program that was originally designed by and approved by President Muhammadu Buhari to engage 1,000 youths per local government area to carry out community service, maintenance of public infrastructure. There was a pilot scheme by which we test run the system to see how effective that kind of program would be. That pilot scheme was approved late in 2019, but implemented, we started implementation February 2020. It was 1 or 3 months before Corona caught up with us, and so we couldn't complete the pilot scheme. But it took off well, and when the Corona,
states did you
in 8 states, 8 states and 5 local governments in those 8 states. So it was not even all the local governments in those 8 states. Okay. Now, when Corona came, and then the ravaging effect, social economic effect of COVID-19, the government developed what they call the Economic Sustainability Plan. Because you can see that the COVID-19 destroyed virtually all our economic plan under the 2020, original 2020 budget. So government reacted on time because the president knew immediately that Nigerians would be badly affected, small businesses and big businesses will be affected. The president immediately thought of the very poor Nigerians, those who live on daily wages. For some of, I'm sure you, on the lighter side, you save a lot, and my sister saves a lot, so you won't feel it as much as the very poor. But the very poor ones who live on daily wages, who go out every day looking for menial jobs, they call them itinerant workers.
Who have to get work, or rather
on
work
that
for
day,
them to eat.
You see them at times on the highways. They come out every morning with shovels and hoes. They look for different work sites to go. They are called laborers. And so when they work on that day, they don't wait till the end of the week. You have to pay them at the end of that day for their children to feed. These were the people who were immediately affected. Okay, we all were affected. All of us were affected. I'm sure I was more affected than you. So, but then...
Well, coming from an SA, and I will accept it.
Yeah, but then the president reacted quickly and said, look, listen, that's pilot scheme, we need to extend it now to cover all the 36 states and the FCT and all the 774 local government areas. And that's why they now call it the Extended Special Public Works Program to cover all the local governments and 1,000 Nigerians. Now, what is the scope of this work? First of all, we should realize that this is not a regular employment in the sense of the Minimum Wage Act. So, those who have argued that, oh, well, it is below the minimum wage and all of that, should realize that it's not a regular employment of 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It's just a social intervention program. But then, it is using one stone to kill two birds. As much as it's a social intervention program, they also want the participants to also do some kind of community service, maintenance of public infrastructure, so it will be a win-win situation. It won't be that government just got up and decided to dash money to persons. They want those persons to do some kind of work to also benefit society. That is why, they now, said in every local government area, government said, the local government should identify what is peculiar to them in terms of public infrastructure. And then engage these 1,000 persons within this period to carry out to maintain those public infrastructure, and then they will get paid. Now, the scope of the kind of work is not limited to just clearing of gutters. I kept saying that I've seen headlines everywhere saying that the president has engaged persons to clear gutters. It's not true. Clearing of gutters is just one of several kind of jobs that can take place during this time. Some local governments are very agrarian. They may decide that, look, this 1,000 persons want to use them for irrigation, so that during this period, before the rains come, and so that their farms will not go dry, they will dig irrigation, channels into their farms, so that they all can enjoy good products. Some local governments, they are very urban, they are not rural. How do you want to clear grass? How do you want to plant farms? Develop farms. They may use them for traffic control, like Lagos State. They may use them for traffic control, and on and on and on like that. In fact, some local governments said, look, they will provide the paints, but the people will now come and paint. They will provide the paint and brushes. They will use them to paint their public buildings, like the local government secretariats, the primary schools that are under those local governments. They will maintain them during this period. So different kind of needs of the local government, but the local governments will determine what they want to use them for. So that is the scope. Now, this thing has some kind of historical antecedent. In the past, this type of program has been used to fight poverty in different countries. India employed it for so many years. In fact, that is one of the reasons India got out of being the country with the poorest people in the world. Before, it was India. But it was this kind of program India adopted every dry season. It has to be a dry season program. The reason is that it's difficult to maintain public infrastructure during the rainy season. So it's always a dry season program. In those days during the Great Depression, or when we had drought in those days, where countries had to depend mostly on agriculture. When we had drought, governments of those days, many African countries, they used to now gather these farmers who depended a lot on farming. And when they could not get their products out because of droughts, they engaged them in public infrastructure, in community service for that period of the drought, and so that they can survive until the time the rains come back again. So this is ILO endorsed in the International Labour Organization, and endorsed this kind of program in the past, in the 80s and the 90s. And so Nigeria studied this model. The president studied this model and decided that it would be good at this time, as part of our economic sustainability plan, to intervene. And of course, you know that this is just a small drop in the entire program the federal government developed to intervene at this time. The entire program is about 2.3 trillion naira intervention fund for this COVID-19. The immediate one that has to do with palliatives like this and intervention is about 500 billion. The other ones are under the CBN in form of loans to small businesses. So the federal government, president himself especially, was very empathetic in this period of COVID-19 and decided to intervene decisively.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought out the issue of funding. We understand it's going to be funded through the COVID-19 Intervention Fund, which is slated to be a little above or about 60 billion naira.
No, it is under the COVID-19 budget. So they say, the federal government had to go back to the National Assembly. The executive had to go back to the National Assembly to rework the 2020 budget, because COVID made nonsense of that budget. Oil prices dropped to zero, no earnings for 3-4 months and all of that. So the whole budget was reworked again. So there is a COVID-19 budget that will even run till June. It is not the even December budget. Okay. So that COVID-19 budget provided for this. And so they provided for about 52 billion. It was originally proposed to be 60 billion or thereabout, but the National Assembly cut it down to 52 billion. And most of it are for stipends. It's not, when you hear those figures, it's not figure for somebody to dip your hand inside. No. Everybody who is a participant is registered. We engage selected banks. The banks have their BVN, their biometrics and everything. We have done that. We have worked so hard in the last 6 months to get to where we are today. So everybody will be paid by bank account. It is not the ones that they pay cash. This is not cash.
Okay.
So there will be no zero. When I say zero, I mean zero fraud. No, in fact, one person cannot receive it twice in a month because it will be by BVN.
Okay. But looking at the 1,000 participants from each local government areas, there have been a lot of questions on how the selection process was done.
Exactly.
Can you bring us to the know?
Thank you very much. Now, what we did was that, as chairman of the board of the NTA,
and maybe as you tag along with that question, you will also consider the little altercations that, or rather disagreement that you had with the National Assembly.
No, because I think we put that behind us. I think we put that behind us.
Review of the selection process.
Yes, but we put that behind us. However, it was just a misunderstanding as to where the separation of powers lies. Once a budget is passed and execution starts, it is now the executive.
Yes.
You are only to appropriate and the oversight in terms of investigation and all of that under but the executive powers. That is why they call it execution. It's executive powers.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, what we did was that we tried to work out a system. There's a board of the NDA. I am chairman of the board by law. And under the NDA Act, the minister is part of the NDA. They report to him on a day-to-day basis, not a week-to-week basis. And by section 16 of the NDA Act, I am the only one that has the exclusive powers to form committees for the NDE. No other person can do those committees. The minister shall be the ones to form committees. So what we did was that we sat down, we still formed an interministerial committee. Whatever we brought in other ministries, collaborating ministries, to work out a plan for us. Not that they were the ones to implement, no, to work out a plan for us. The president directed that we should do so. So we brought about 8 ministries to work out a plan. And what did they plan? The model we adopted was a multi-sectoral model to say, look, first of all, we wanted to localize the selection process, and we did localize the selection process because this type of program is unique in the sense that we could not do it by way of online registration. The target participants, they don't even know what is called online. These laborers, they don't have access to smartphones or internet. They don't. And again, the participant must be resident in those local governments. So if you do it online, you have all kinds of people registering online, and they will not be ordinary residents in those local governments. So we now said, look, local leaders who know these people, but who the people trust and they have access to, should be the ones to form committees to pick these people.
All right.
Now, some of these people, I don't know them. They are detached from me. We just set parameters. Chairman Christian Association of Nigeria, we wrote to the headquarters, give us the name of all your chairmen of all the states. They gave us. The Muslim Association, give us the name of all your chairmen. They gave us. National Union of Road Transport Workers, give us the market women, NGOs, the most popular NGOs in those states, and all of that. Traditional rulers. If these people are not close to the grassroots, who else will go close to the grassroots?
What of the local government chairman?
No, we did not, because it would have been unwieldy. In that situation, what we did was to involve the governor. The governor was his representative was part of the committee. In most cases, the governor is in touch with all the local government chairmen. So, because we said it's going to be a 20-man selection committee, in many states, you have more than 20 local governments, you have more than 30 local governments. So a lot of them bring one, the committee will be unwieldy. But what the state selection committees did was also set up local government committees too. But you can see that we made it multi-sectoral enough, involving different sectors. Civil societies, of course, were there. We involved 3 civil society, 2 or 3 or so, in the 20-man selection committee. The most popular civil society organizations in those states. So it was totally devoid of me and my influence. These are just, they are not statutory in the sense of the real statute, but statutory in the sense of what we, the parameters we set. And then we asked for nominations from these organizations. They brought their names, and we set up this committee. We said, go ahead and select. We at this level could not micromanage the selection process. We have done our best. We are giving people who are religious leaders, traditional rulers, leaders in their own right, and so we left them at their discretion.
Was there any way that you vetted these names that these committees brought to you?
We vetted them by the banks.
Oh, I see.
Because when they brought this list, we sent them to the president. Actually is directed clearly that we should use select banks so that we can share data with these banks. The banks can share data with us. We didn't allow participants to just walk into any bank and then we'll be all over the place trying to get names here and there. We said, register this for us, 6 banks, and give the data back to us. So they now went at every local government level, they went to take biometrics of everybody. So those who could, who were trying to use 2 or 3 names, different names to collect, they flushed them out. So we now had gaps again in some local governments because they, after the cleanup, as it were, the biometric registration was a clean-up exercise. You now had some gaps because you had people who used 2, 3 different names.
What is part of the challenges you faced that led to the initial postponement? Because, for example, initially the project was supposed to take up 1st of October 2020.
Yeah, that one, in all honesty, was because the rains were still on. The rains were still on and the water level was still high in some places, project sites. And again, there was a late release of the funds. So that first postponement was honestly because of weather conditions.
So what of the December 8th change of guards that happened at the National Director of Employment?
That's the prerogative of Mr. President. I don't want to talk about that. Mr. President has the right to hire and fire.
Okay, what of the December 14 resolution of the House of Representatives? Did it affect the take-up as well?
No, I think they were urging the president, if you look at it very well, because they know they don't have powers to stop an execution of a project. They were urging, Mr. President is the chief executive of the country, so they were urging Mr. President to please stop for 1 or 2 reasons, but Mr. President had directed that we should go ahead.
No, but the resolution itself, if you read the content, was talking about where to, or rather, the funds will come from for the project.
No.
They were reported to have said that they will prefer the 2021 budget to take care of.
No. There was a COVID budget in place already, and the COVID budget runs till June. Maybe they were not. Maybe they didn't advert their minds to that.
I see.
The COVID budget runs till June, so the provision is a COVID budget.
So now there are no other issues.
Money has been released.
Okay, now that money
has been released to the agency. So where do we stop?
So now that the
equipments have been bought even before a resolution, how do we stop?
So, Minister, now that the works, the SPW has been flagged off, obviously work will commence in each local government areas of the country.
They have started.
They have started.
Yes.
Now, how would you ensure that, these beneficiaries, so to say, are, doing what they are meant to do? What about monitoring? Good question.
We have monitors at every level of this work. In fact, what we did was to pick among the 1,000 some who could read and write. So we didn't make 1,000 wholly, itinerant workers. We tried to make a reservation of about 100 or 150 in each local government who are young graduates who are still just looking for holiday jobs. Because we had people like, we had institutions like the MBS that said they want some part of the 1,000 to do some work for the MBS this period. The National Bureau of Statistics. Yes. The National Population Commission, NPC, also came to us and said they need to do some demographic markings ahead of census. And so, it's an easy thing for them. So that's why the president said collaborate with other agencies who may need the services of these people. And you can see that we couldn't use itinerant people for the NPC. So we picked out graduates, young graduates who are just unemployed, who want holiday jobs. These are part of the people we're also using for monitoring, who can send us data. We have developed a website, interactive website. If you like. They are supervisors. So we didn't want to go outside the 1,000 to go and pick supervisors elsewhere and then look for money elsewhere to pay them. So the fund itself is self-funding to supervise too.
So they get paid from
the same 20,000. They say they are part of the 1,000 persons.
Okay, you said something about COVID-19. It's part of social intervention program for COVID-19, and we know that the pandemic is still very much around. If this program run for just 3 months, there are a lot of questions to it. It's a very good initiative, very commendable. You talked about how India used it to tackle poverty, which is the right step in the right direction. After 3 months, what next?
There are about different options that are before government. The first one is that, of course, private individuals are already keying in everywhere. Many people are coming to say, look, do you have a database of these people already? We need them for construction sites, for different farming initiatives and all of that. So private farms, those big, large private farms, once they finish, give us. We have been looking for them before because there was no database of this type of laborers. You only have database of young graduates and blah, blah, blah. So we have that. But that is not the major one. Government is also thinking that they may migrate them to some huge agricultural program because they are just a ready workforce that we had never gathered before. So by this program also is a program that is also developing a database for laborers. We always had database for skilled people, graduates, but there has been no database for just unskilled laborers. This is a database for it. So government is having access to this database and they can call upon them to migrate them to some huge agricultural program. But it's not yet cast in stone. Now, the other one is that government may decide, depending on the success of the program and the buoyancy of government, to extend the 3 months to more months, or to begin to do it as an annual event every dry season. Every dry season, which is what India and Bangladesh and those countries, China did for so many years. So that you now have, between one dry season and the other, people will have some kind of capital to do some small businesses. Because whether you like it or not, the final exit is that the 16,000 naira is capital, whether you like it or not, for small businesses. There are shops in the markets, in the rural, in the villages, small shops in those markets that are not worth more than 10,000. I hope you know that.
Yes.
Those vegetables they sell, those goro and all they sell.
Certainly.
When they work for 3 months and they gather 60,000, you will be amazed how they can, boost their businesses at that small level. What government is doing is amazing. For the next 3 months, 40-something billion will be pushed to the very bottom of the economy to inflate the economy at that level. Not the middle class, not the high, but at least it's not going to go to Cameroon or overseas. It's going to be here. Government will push this money to the grassroots, and then small businesses will grow. These people will sell and buy. So 46 billion will be in circulation at the lowest level in the next few months.
What's your
That's
comment?
a big boost for the economy.
What's your comment on stakeholders? First and foremost, most stakeholders have applauded the federal government's initiative. And like the examples of Bangladesh and India you brought, they are aware and they appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for that. And they are saying that it's capable of facilitating economic recovery and reducing unemployment. But except if it is not politicized. So what assurances will you give us here now that you will make sure this project is strictly what it is supposed to be and it is not politicized?
That is why we are here where we are. That's why we fought some battles in the last few months to ensure that we try to keep it for all Nigerians. We made sure that different sectors got out of it. We didn't just want to hand over everything to politicians, because there are many Nigerians who don't have access to political leaders. We are 200 million, right? How many voted? 30 million. 30 million voted. So you have 170 million Nigerians who are not interested in the political system. Out of the 30 million who voted, how many belong to those political parties? Because we just have ordinary voters who are not card-carrying members. So you will still have a reduced number to maybe 20 million who are card-carrying members of political parties. So you now have maybe 10% of the 200 million Nigerians who have access to political leaders. Even those who are card-carrying members of political parties, they still don't have access to the leaders, many of them. It's only a few caucuses that have access to the leaders. So bring it down again to perhaps only 3% of 200 million people that have access to political leaders. So if you want to now say, hand it over to political leaders, all of it, how many Nigerians will get? So we try to reserve a large number of these to Nigerians. And that's why we brought in sectors that are not political, religious leaders, union leaders, NGOs. We brought them in, select from your churches, from your mosque, and bring them in. And that's what we achieved.
But did this 15% slot that was there from last year, did it still go to the speculated ministers?
We did that. We did that.
Okay.
We did that. Because they are part of society. Don't forget that when we are talking of different sectors of society, political leaders are part of those sectors. They are.
Was it 15% or 10%? I see.
It was about 15 in total.
I see.
In total, ministers, governors, and all of that.
And national.
They had the right to, yes, of course. They had the right to nominate people. Not that they impose. They say, okay, I have these people in my constituency, and I know that, because they are leaders who know these people. But they don't know all the people in their constituency. They should admit that. They don't know everybody in their local government, but they know their followers very well. And they say, look, we know that these are indigent people. We recommend them to you, and we accepted them.
Well, it's good that you have already pointed out that this program may be extended, that is bearing in mind the availability of funds. And you have already mentioned also that as Minister of State's Labor and Employment, you are also the chairman of the board of NDE.
Correct.
And I'm aware NDE already had some statutory programs that it does to reduce unemployment, to create jobs, and what have you. So give us a sense of what obtains in NDE right now as chairman of the board, and what you would now advise after this special project is either extended or not extended.
Well, first of all, we want to see how successful the program is. Then we'll make recommendations, government. I'm going to write my report as chairman of board and pass on to the president and allow the president to make up his mind. I'll make my recommendations based on the success of the program. For the other programs, we are going to scale them up because of also the pandemic. My sister asked about the continuation of the pandemic and what we may do. What we can do if this program is not extended is to make sure that the other programs are still there under the NDA. They may not be as expansive and as huge as this one, but the programs are there. The normal programs we use every quarter to support small businesses, to skill up people. There are so many skill acquisition programs under the NDA. We are going to intensify them, make sure that we make them more regular, and ensure that we get them to the target audience quickly at this time because of the pandemic, and then give them starter packs. We have programs that also give starter packs to Nigerians to start up small businesses. So we are going to ensure that we scale up those programs in the meantime, and to ensure that Nigerians benefit from them.
It's good you know the NDE project has been brought up because it's all part of economic prosperity, whichever way we look at it, whether the 774,000 jobs being offered. Let's look at the challenges being faced by this skills acquisition. Now, a lot of times we get to see young people get trained, and then when they out of the training from the NDE, the challenge of sustainability, the challenge of startup capital and all of that, what would you say as the chairman of the board?
No, but we have different programs that also give them starter packs.
Okay.
We do. So in most of the NDE programs, they may not be huge. Those starter packs may not be big, but they are enough for you to start small businesses. We give sewing machines. We give cosmetic packs. We give plumbing materials. We give carpentry materials. You know, I know that these are something that one man, you know, can use to start to make repairs, like a whole toolbox for the plumber. We give it. The whole toolbox for the electrician. A whole toolbox for the welder. So that welding box, you know, that normal big welding box, we give them the welding. So once you have trained in welding, you put your number out there. We have a database we are also collating for this people we have trained. People can now have access to this database. Say, look, I did a welder around so and so local government. Do you have one? Say, yes, we trained somebody there. That's his number. You call the person from his home. He doesn't need a big shop. From his home, he carries his tool and comes down and says, what is wrong? And I repair and
this is what obtains abroad.
In fact, we want to bring back what they call the dignity of labor into the Nigerian system. Look, abroad, the highest earners are the people who come and make repairs in your home. The electricians, the plumbers, the carpenters, they are the biggest earners. For Nigeria, I think we have realized too that the carpenters have left the other people behind, because you now have furniture makers. You call themselves furniture makers. They are bigger boys already.
Exactly,
So that one, we have realized that one in Nigeria, that furniture is big business. Fashion, we have also realized in Nigeria, because we have graduates in Nigeria. Graduates, masters holders who have gone into big fashion business. So maybe the next one we used to push them are the plumbers and the even, you know, carpenter, like I said, they are also furniture makers also now. But the other people, other small, you know, these people who have handwork, who are big. And we need to encourage people. Listen, people who stay in offices every day these days, who look for regular employment to start up, you know, after graduating from school, I can sit down here and make a guess. I mean, we are all Nigerians. The average could be anything between 70 to 100,000 to start up monthly salary. That should be the average. Some may pay a bit more, some may be a bit less. But the average should be between 70 to 100,000 to start up as a young graduate. This is in most private or public institutions. That is what somebody can earn if you have your handwork in one day.
In one day, or in one
yes, one day.
Project.
One project. That you can do between 2 days and they pay you 100,000, you go. And in a month, you can see what that person can earn. So we need to put that into the mentality of Nigerians, that employment we are talking about, under the Ministry of Employment, we are not focused on creating opportunities in public institutions and private schools so that we can give letters like this, type letters and say, you have been employed. Start so and so. You are put under probation for 2 years. After that, you will be confirmed. That's what people are waiting for. 90% of our graduates are home waiting for those letters to arrive. For Christ's sake, they should get out of the homes, go and learn a trade. That is what the Empower is about. I hope you know that. The Empower trains young graduates in different skills. It doesn't matter whether you read sociology or philosophy. Go and learn a trade. While you are learning a trade, they give you 30,000 naira per month for you to stabilize. And after 2 years, they exit that group. They have piloted you a bit enough to the doorstep. Go out
to be on your own.
And then a batch B will come. But then some of them have enjoyed the 30,000 so much. They now say exit. They say they don't want to exit for the next batch. So they started shouting, Empower must continue. But there's another batch waiting to be trained.
But with what you have said now, it means at the inception of NDE, the Graduate Employment Program was part of the...
Absolutely.
And it still is.
It's still there.
With what you have just told us, it means you may have to expand it.
Absolutely.
To accommodate most of the graduates who have finished NYSC.
I agree entirely.
What are plans for that?
Well, we are waiting for budgetary provisions. Maybe you should help us to also scream it to high heaven. You should give us more money.
Friends.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, you know, it's good you mentioned the Empower project.
Yes.
You know, I just want to borrow a lead,
yes,
you know, from how the Empower operates. Looking at the 774,000 jobs being created for the next 3 months. Now, you are looking at a proposition to make it an annual program.
Dry seasonal program.
Yes, dry season program.
Yeah.
Now, would it be, can you put into consideration now, if this sets exit? Or are you going to rely on this data that has been collated for this year? Is it going to be the same set of people for next year, or it's going to be so that it can expand?
You are asking me to make a policy statement sitting down here alone. I would like to consult my board members on this.
No, are you putting that?
But if
you're putting that into consideration,
what
I
will
would say
likely happen?
I would say that I would like to have a new set of persons. I would like to have a new set of persons to benefit. I mean, so that as many Nigerians as possible, so long as we still find people within that class of laborers.
Of course.
At that level. Once we have them, I would like more people to benefit. I would love more people to benefit from the program. So if we can have in every local government, that 1,000 can exit and get another 1,000 to benefit, then why not?
Because you said it yourself, 60,000 naira is a capital.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what about now, let's look at training. If some of these young people who don't have any skills, they're just artisans who can just do, menial jobs to just maintain their community infrastructures, what about training for them if they can also be put into consideration to look at some of these NDE programs? Because a lot of people are interested in NDE programs, but they don't have access to it.
You are just asking one of the most important questions now. I mean, it's also part of the exit strategy. There are so many persons who have now volunteered to train these people. It's not only government.
Okay.
Not only government. We have companies who said, look, they have been looking for people to train in certain things. Those who really need to be trained, who need the jobs. They have approached us to say, after 3 months, in so-and-so local government or in so-and-so state, give me 300 persons out of your list. So we are going to watch those who are working. The ones who are more hardworking, who have potentials to acquire skills, we are going to take note of their names and recommend them to the private sector, those who are approaching us. Then for the NDA too, we cannot mop all of them up. But those who have the potential to, who have expressed their desire to acquire more, more skills, those who are not lazy, we're going to have lazy ones among them. We are also going to recommend them to the core NDE programs to be trained, because they are unskilled labor, most of them, to be trained to acquire skills and then to exit to be on their own.
Honorable Minister, you made your name essentially as a human rights activist. And I said...
Not in government.
Not in government. And having you in the studio certainly will not allow you go without you commenting on...
Putting me on the spot.
Yes. Not putting you on the spot, but something that is rather very, very germane now. The Nigerian military has been fighting Boko Haram, insurgency, banditry, cattle rustling and what have you for almost a decade now. And surprisingly, the military now is having pressure, not from Nigerians or any domestic problem, but external. The International Criminal Court is there, the Amnesty International is there, trying to, if you like, blackmail or dissuade or make the military now to lose focus. If you are outside, even though you are now in government, but it will be good to hear from you. What are your thoughts?
Well, there are rules of engagement everywhere. I don't think it's a difficult situation, question. There are rules of engagement all over the world, even in times of war. There are civil populace that must be protected. There are rules by which you cannot exceed, the use of force. You cannot use force even in war situations to the civilian population and all of that. So, and the military, I believe they are well trained in that respect too. They are not just a fighting machine sent out to kill anybody within their sight. They know that too. They know that. So it is just to encourage the military to keep doing what they are doing. We are proud of our military. We are proud of what they are doing. But they should just keep within the rules of engagement. And I think it's not difficult to keep within the rules of engagement. It's not difficult. We should not also cover up a situation where erring officers who go to war front, rape women, kill innocent people, they go scot-free. They must be brought to book. That is the truth of the matter. You will also not like a situation where in your village, because there is war, then a soldier has the right to do whatever he likes because there is war. He comes into your house and drags your wife out and goes to rape your wife. There is war. No, that person will be brought to book. So this is the point we are making. There are rules of engagement, and they should stick to those rules of engagement. And we are proud the military has done that so far. For the Nigerian military, I have not seen, blatant, widespread cases of abuse of human rights. I have not seen that. I have not read much of that. They have been very professional. Our military has been very, very professional. We are proud of that. It's because of them we are sitting down here today. In 2013, 2014, we were all thinking of backing out of Abuja. That is the truth. Once insurgency comes into the state capital, the capital of the country, the seat of power, you should know that where the country is in a situation of near collapse. President Muhammadu Buhari pulled this country from the brink of the precipice of collapse. He pulled it back. But listen, the problem with human beings, Nigerians as a whole, is that always we have short memories. That's the problem. Time and space, erodes memories. We were carrying dead body, we were carrying flesh and blood on the streets of Wuse 2, in front of shopping complexes. We were. When last did you hear that? In stations, bus stations, in Abuja already, bus stations. There were explosions. We were carrying flesh and blood on the ground in the nation's capital. We have short memory as Nigerians. The problem all over the world is that the present government is always worse than the past. That is the problem. And so when the next government comes, it will be worse than the one in the minds of ordinary people on the streets. But on very cold, hard analysis, like we are doing now, they will realize that this government, President Muhammadu Buhari, pulled this country away from the precipice of collapse.
So is the ICC and the amnesty justified for putting the Nigerian military on their toes?
Well, they have a duty to raise issues. We must say that. That is why they are there. We will not also be happy if there are no watchdogs over institutions fighting wars all over the world. We will not be happy about that. There must be some kind of watchdog. The only problem we face here, and I must say it very, very honestly, is that most of them have been sucked into local politics. They are not over and above local politics, and it is very, very sad. I have seen comments online by some of these organizations getting deep into local politics, supporting one party over the other, and I said, no, it's over. It's finished. I have lost respect for most of them. Their existence was good. The concept of existing, those organizations existing to watchdog over some of these things is very good. But I think we need to change the personnel. We need to change the personnel handling most of these organizations, because they are now deep into local opposition politics.
And if we're talking wars, most times, anytime there is a conflict, women bear the brunt.
Yes.
Let's take it back to the 774,000 jobs where women, the female gender, given consideration, because most of these jobs that they will be engaged in, talking about the 1,000 beneficiaries, will be more of drainages, and maintenance.
Did you hear my speech yesterday in Abuja? I don't think.
I saw ladies among the beneficiaries.
Okay. No, when I was appealing, I was appealing to the selection people.
But she is right.
But I was appealing to them.
What is the proportion of the female gender?
We did not impose, but we were begging most of them, because like I said, we didn't want to micromanage the selection process. We only set the parameters. We were begging them. In my speech yesterday, I said, please select more women. Give women 60-70% of these jobs. You know why? The women are the caregivers. So.
Yes.
They are the caregivers. Me and you sitting down here, but I don't drink. But some of us will go and drink ogogoro and palm wine after the day's job. But the women will tie this money in their wrapper.
Yes.
Keep it, save it.
Save it.
Use it to pay school fees. Use it to care for the family. The men have gone out to play. But the women will keep this money. So we have been begging. With apologies to my men folk out there, these are making a case for women. Give women more of the opportunities. They will use this money more.
Is the recruitment process still on? Because if it's been flagged...
No, what we said, I said so earlier, that we finished the registration, but there are gaps, some gaps in some, because of the issue of double registration.
So now what they are suggesting is there should be some proactive affirmative action towards the...
yes, by those who are entrusted with selecting. We appeal to them to do so.
Well, certainly we will have...
She's here fighting for the women folk.
No, she's right.
Because I'm a
I also support...
Yes, and I support her.
we cannot leave this program without talking politics. I mean, someone who was Director of Strategic Communications for the All Progressive Congress in 2019, certainly we will want to, if you like, pick your brains, look into that crucible. 2023, what's happening?
Please leave me alone. Let me leave this. Let me leave this studio in one piece. God owns tomorrow. I'm thinking of today and to discharge my duty as minister. I don't know tomorrow. God, there's a God factor in everything. Let me just tell you that. I believe there's a God factor in everything. And I think we should take it day to day. 2023 is still far off. Some people were applying for 2023. They died in 2020.
Yes.
We are talking of 2023. Do you know what I will see next week? Please, I think we should calm down. There's a God factor in everything. We should leave God to pilot us.
Yeah,
At the
but
right
still,
moment, we should make key decisions.
But still, let's talk about strategy. The APC, as a ruling party, is, I think, supposed to do its national convention or convene its national convention sometime in June 2021?
Absolutely, yes.
So what are the plans towards...
Well, the first is registration of, re-registration of members. We want to clean up our register. We want to ensure that membership is verified again. Because don't forget that in 2013, when we came together, it was an amalgam of so many people, and there was no thorough system then. What pushed PDP out of power was a movement. It wasn't a party. APC was a movement. Everybody came together, and that is why you saw...
Is it a party
You
now?
have seen people like us.
Is it a party
It's
now?
proper party now.
Oh.
We produced the president. The movement produced... It was like... APC started like the African National Congress.
Yes.
It was a coalition against bad governance. And so we all came together. And look, that is why you will see somebody like me in APC now. They said... They opened their flank to civil society organizations, activists, come in, everybody. Let's push this people out. And so some of us joined the train and all that. But then, I think after 2015, we began to properly mobilize. We produced the government as a political party. And what we are doing is to re-verify. You know, so after that, some people also left. Those who could not keep up with the change agenda and President Muhammad's vision. Those people who left, they thought it was going to be business as usual. Oh, when President Muhammad will come, President will come and say, all of you divide cake.
Yes.
You take this cake. When they came, they said, this is a different man. No? And so they all ran away. And so President Muhammad Buhari has redefined the concept of governance. I have never had respect for anybody. I have worked closely with him now. He has taken key decisions in my presence. And I've never had any respect for anybody before in my life more than what I have for him. His vision, his integrity, his straightforwardness is second to none. So going forward, we are properly reorganizing the party. But I can tell you one thing, even though I'm not looking into the Abuja ball or the
The crucible.
The crucible. The APC will retain power in 2023. I can tell you that for free. It will retain power in 2023. We may have our own internal issues here and there. That's normal politics, back and forth. But generally, if Nigerians compare what we did in the last 8 years or last 5-6 years to what happened before, Nigerians will be proud of what we've done. In the context of where we find ourselves, the context and the kind of leadership in President Muhammad Buhari that we produced. Muhammad Buhari has carried all of us behind his shoulders. Nobody can boast to say, I produced Buhari. It's rather the other way around. Buhari produced all of us. He carried all of us on his back. His integrity, the trust Nigerians have for him, carried us.
People rode on his shoulder.
Rode on his shoulder to this point. He has carried us on his back to this point. Now it is for us to fend for ourselves. Because the Baba is exiting. Baba is exiting in 2023. So we are all trying to fend for ourselves now. It's like when you carry pilot children to graduate level. So go and fend for yourself. So we are all trying to fend for ourselves, and we'll do that creditably well.
Now let's quickly look at Delta State. There are some, saying Kemo is also among those gunning.
No, please. Like I said, let me finish my work as minister. Whatever God decides tomorrow, I want to go back to my practice of law. If God decides otherwise,
so you want to abandon
available.
Politics?
If God decides otherwise, I'm available. But if God does not decide, I'm a senior advocate. I have chambers running as I speak with you. On a lighter note, I still receive alerts. Alerts are coming in every day from my different chambers. So I will just go back and fit seamlessly to my chambers.
But what is your vision in terms of all these policies being implemented to ensure that, the nation grow? If we're looking at economic prosperity for the nation, which is the whole essence of all these interventions, what do you want to see? How would you ensure, from your point of view, what do you want to see in terms of sustainability?
I want to see massive investment in infrastructure. People have been criticizing such intervention programs and saying that, look, they should plug this money into infrastructure. But at the same time, the benefits of infrastructure takes time. I hope you know that. The benefits, they take time to yield fruits. In the meantime, when you are ploughing your money into infrastructural development, yes, you will create some jobs, but the very vulnerable may die before the infrastructure is complete. So you may still give them something to sustain themselves. What we are doing is not the all-cure solution. It's not. But it is for momentary sustenance until we can develop infrastructure, boost the economy, and get the economy back on the right track. All of this is a result of the rot that has developed over the years. They don't want us to talk about it. They say, oh, concentrate on the now. But the now has a past, and we must talk about the past. We're not giving excuses, but we must situate it with what has happened before.
Now, on that note, certainly, as you, using your words, we're all ruled on President Muhammadu Buhari's shoulders, and now he's exiting. So what is the APC looking at, and what will you advise even other political parties in terms of, to use Ruth's words, sustainability of programs, sustainability of governance beyond 2023?
Well, that is why I think it's important for the APC to put its acts together. We are doing so now by registration members, by reorganizing the party. Put its acts together to ensure that these policies continue, because if you have a radical change of government, you begin from the scratch all over again. So that's why I think, and I pray that I'm not God, but I think the APC will retain power. I'm very confident about that, so that these policies can continue, and the path that the president has set the country on, that path can continue to grow.
Mr. Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Minister of State, Labor and Employment. Nice talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Special projects and other issues.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming. Ruth Agwele, nice you are being here and for all your support.
And the champion of women's rights.
Exactly.
I'll take that as
In the last 50 minutes, we've been talking about the federal government special public works project in 774 local government areas. And we looked at the scope, the vision, the jobs, the implementation, and challenges. Mr. Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Minister of State for Labor and Employment, has said it all, and he said it's a program that he will even propose its extension. That's Platform. I am Muhammad Abubakar. Thank you for watching.